So good morning, everybody. My name is Will. I'm from Ku-ring-gai Council. This is our 10th Open for Business webinar. Today we're joined by Jane Baxter, a local marketing specialist. And Jane's going to take us back to basics. And the basics of marketing, the things that you should know before you start your marketing. Jane's got a background in marketing agencies and on the client side, and she'll be going through in the next hour or so the basics for you. So I will hand over to Jane. Please note that if you have questions, please put them in the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. If you have observations or other things that you want to add, just add them in the chat box. We'll be going through this in sections and we'll be dealing with the questions as we go. So I will hand over to Jane. Thank you, Jane, for joining us today, and thank you all. Jane, over to you.
Thanks, Will. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, everybody, for coming today. I realise that time is really precious, and bringing your time in here today is really it's a gift. It's something that it's such a precious resource that often with small business we don't have a lot of, and it's something that with today's presentation I'm hoping that I'll be able to give you back some of that time by creating efficiencies through all the building blocks that we're going to go through today. It's so tempting to just jump into the planning, into the doing rather than doing the planning. And that's where we're going to save some time understanding that. I found this quote the other day, and it was, without a solid foundation, you'll have trouble creating anything of value. And Erica Oppenheimer is actually a coach for high schoolers, actually. And what she teaches is that once you have the basics sorted, you can build on that. And once you build on things, you can get better and better and better. But you can go into any situation and you can use your base knowledge and make decisions faster. So as Will said, I've been in marketing game for a while, since 1997. I worked in an experiential agency for a while, which is sampling and dealing with FMCG companies. And then after a while, I went into publishing. I've been in the hair industry, the professional hair industry. I've been in the wine arena. So I've done B2B and B2C. I've also had a small business myself. It was swimwear, very functional swimwear. Not really sure why I did that. It was a learning, and that's what I've taken away from that. I closed that down when we moved overseas, and lived over there for a while. And now what I do is I bring all my experience together, and I just help small business or solo businesses really with getting their message clear, getting some clarity around it, and understanding how to get from point A to point B. So the aim of today is to get that clarity, and I'm going to do that with 5 points. I'm going to take you through those 5 points, and hopefully those building blocks will help you just put a bit of a process around how you think when it comes to marketing. Marketing is one of those big words that a lot of people kind of shy away from. They think, I'll just slap up a quick picture and that's my marketing. But there's so much more to it than that. And I think that with understanding a little bit more and understanding some steps that you take before you do your marketing, it will help you to, when you come to marketing, you'll be able to break it down a little bit more, be more efficient with your time in making your decisions. But before we get into it, what I'd like to do is take you through, this is the definition of marketing. And it says the action or business of promoting and selling products or services, including market research and advertising. Now, the key words to take from that is the action or business and market research and advertising. So whilst that's a great definition by Oxford, it doesn't really tell us what marketing is about. Marketing is about taking your customers through a journey, and the steps involved in that are, and I've just got them written here so that I get them all in the right order. So if your customers don't know about you, they can't purchase from you because they don't know you're there. So what you need to do is start by creating brand awareness. Once they're aware of your brand, you build trust with them through communication. And once that trust is established, they're likely to purchase. Once they purchase and they like everything about the experience of purchasing with you, they repurchase. And once they repurchase a few times, the customer who loves your product becomes an advocate for you and spreads the word for you. So to be effective in these steps, you need to identify who your customer is. You need to speak to them using deliberate language. And you need to explain how you can make their lives better and convert that into a purchase. So to get this flow of the marketing happening, we're going to talk about all these foundations. 5 points today. And they are you. We're going to start talking firstly about you. Then we're going to move on to what you do from your customer's perspective. We're going to talk about your customers, and we could talk about your offerings, about your product or your service, and we're going to talk about your profitability. These are the things that underpin a lot of what marketing is. So let's just jump in. So it's all about you, understanding what fulfills you. So we're taking a step back from actually thinking about marketing and we're refocusing everything on you. Why is it that you do what you do? What drives you? What are the things that you love about doing? What fulfills you? Your purpose is highly pertinent for marketing because it underpins everything in your messaging. It gives you strength. And then you know that your message is attracting the right person. And then we go on to understand when you know your purpose, it affects those around you. If you know exactly what it is that you want to do, you're in a straight line. You're not going from here to there and kind of making little tracks all over the place. You're going in a straight line, you know where it is. And that affects the people that you work with, your customers, your staff, and anyone that you collaborate with. If your staff know which way that what your direction is and what fulfills you in the business, they can either decide to be part of that, or if it's not right for them, leave, because you don't want the staff to not be on the same page as you. You just want to ask yourself why you do what you do. You want to understand quite deeply what it is that you do, because this needs to, as I said, underpin everything that you talk about. So I'm going to give you an example of this because I think that examples are one of the better ways to understand things. So you're a mum at home and you're thinking, oh, the kids are starting to get a little bit more independent, and you're thinking about work. You need something a little bit more about yourself, and you've had this hobby and you really have enjoyed doing your hobby, and you've done it for your friends and you've done it for your family, and you think, actually, I love doing this and I'm really good at it. How can I make this into a business? So now you understand that your driving force is that you love it. It's unlikely to be money that you want to do this for, because if you want to take a hobby to a business, you're doing it more for your passion rather than actually doing it for money. If you're just going to get work for money, there's plenty of jobs to go out and get, or not quite at the moment, but there are jobs out there where people will pay you to do a job, and it doesn't necessarily have to fulfill your passion. So what you need to ask yourself, is it more about doing something that you enjoy and get personal fulfillment from? Is it more than being just little Jimmy's mum in the playground? Freedom to be there for your family when they need you? Or is it something completely different to that? These are the questions that you need to ask yourself to understand what your why is. So having said that, a lot of you have probably heard of Simon Sinek. He is a leader in this field of understanding your why. And it can be seen as a bit of a fluffy topic, a little bit squishy, as my husband calls it. But it's really, really helpful to get this through for your marketing. So Simon says people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. And he goes on to talk about how your core purpose in life takes in all your values and all those sort of things. It's your purpose and the reason that you exist and why you do what you do. So in the circle, as you can see, there is the why, the how, and the what. So the why is your purpose and the reason you exist and behave as you do. Your how are your strengths and your differentiation, how you tell people you do what you do. And the what is pretty simple. It's what, well, I'm a judge. Okay, so that's what you do. When you say you're a judge, people get a vision in their head. What sort of judge are you? And why are you a judge? That's the sort of thing that they do. A lot of people these days, they start with what, but what Simon talks about is starting with your why. And when you talk about your why, it really resonates with people, the right people. So he has this clarification sentence. So it says, 2, what your contribution is so that you've got your impact. And I've given some examples here. This is Simon's. To inspire people to do what inspires them so that together each of us can change the world for the better. That's what he wants to do. He wants to get out and inspire people to do what they do. Here's Airbnbs. To connect millions of people in real life over the world through a community marketplace so that you can belong anywhere. So your contribution is what it is that you do. Do you heal people? Do you inspire people? Do you engage? Do you talk? Do you create confidence? And your impact is what it is that comes out of that. Do you improve lives? Do you achieve goals together? What is that? It's a sentence that what you need to be able to pull together is so simple, yet it's a lot of soul searching, and some people will get this straight away, and some people it takes quite a bit of time to do. You could start with something like the freedoms. So to have freedom so that I can dictate the work hours that I want. This is a very basic one. This is a great place to start. You'll find that over time that your why evolves, and as you become more involved, and the more you think about it, the more you will articulate what it is that really becomes your why. Some people go their whole lives not understanding their why, and sometimes they're the people that just doesn't do it for them. And today we're just going to focus on the why. We're not going to focus so much on the how and the what. I said that we could start with to have freedom so that I can dictate my own hours. Now, I advise that you don't use that as part of your marketing message. I would say that you inspire people so that they become more confident. Perhaps that works for you. And this could be written for a coach. It could be written for a beautician. It could be written for a person in the fitness industry. It's just to start laying your thought foundations. This is what I want to do today. I just want to start to provoke thoughts. We're not going to walk away with your why today. That can take you a long time. It can take years to get to your true why, because until you start looking at it, it's something that it's something that's quite an emotive statement. And until you start looking at it, it just doesn't come to you like that. It's always a positive and an emotional statement. I've actually in the workbook that Will sent out yesterday. I've linked to Simon's TED Talk. Simon's TED Talk, say that quickly. Simon's TED Talk is really well worth watching. It's about a 20-minute show or presentation, and he explains it so beautifully. And really, some days when I'm feeling like I'm a little lost and I'm not really sure what I'm going to do, I listen to his TED Talk and he just gives me that little bit more clarity. 20 minutes, well worth your time. I think he's had over 50 million views. So there's a lot of people out there wanting to work this out. Another part of you is your strengths. Understanding what your strengths are. Knowing when to ask for help. So you've got talents that you use and you're really good at. And knowing your strengths, personally, it can really actually strengthen your strengths. So when you go and you can do testing about that, and I think, and in actual fact, I put in here again, I put a link to your finding your strengths. There's lots of tests out there, paid ones and free ones, and with those, you're going to, the free ones, for example, which is the one I put a link in the presentation for, it will give you your top 5, and then you can pay more and it will give you more information. But it's a really good way to understand what it is that you are good at. Also, on the flip side of that, it can make you aware of where you need help. So, for example, for me, one of my top strengths is analytical. And so I'm great at looking at numbers. I see patterns. I enjoy it. Give me an Excel spreadsheet every day and I love it. So many people look at me very strangely when I say that. But what that makes me also aware of is that I can get bogged down in numbers, and I've learnt to be aware of that, and that I just need to sort of give myself a timeline and say, okay, stop there, move into the next one. On the flip side of being good at numbers, words not so much my forte. So when I start pulling together marketing collateral, one of the first things I'm going to do is find a copywriter, because I know my message, but to get my message out there, it takes an expert, and I'm not an expert with words, I'm an expert with numbers, which is a strange thing for a marketer, I understand that, but my background is direct marketing and that's all about numbers. If you haven't done a strengths test, I would suggest that you go online and do that free high 5 test. It costs you nothing but a bit of time, and can give you a lot of information. You have a lot of aha moments. That's why I feel like that. That's you know, I now understand why I do what I do. One of my other ones is deliberator. So I'm not a quick decision maker. I go away, I look at the facts, I understand it, I mull it around in my mind, and then I make a decision. And that's the best way for me to work that through. Another way to do this is to actually ask people you've worked with. So send an email, just a very brief email, about 20 people, and just say, what are my strengths? When you work with me, where do I excel? What do you come to me to talk about? That is a really good way of getting another person's perspective. You'll find patterns when they come through. It's not an easy thing to do. I have done it, and it's quite difficult to actually ask people, tell me my strengths. It took me a while to press the send button on that email, but it's well worth gathering that information, because what you might think is one of your strengths might actually not be what they think is one of your strengths. And on the flip side of that, it could well be that you're all aligned. But it's really important to understand what your strengths are. So from this section, understand the learning that I'd like you to take away is knowing your why and your strengths. And that will help you to create a stronger, clear marketing message that you believe in. And it's really important to believe in your marketing message. Okay, so I think that's the end of that section. So let's have a look at any questions. Okay, so I have one question here. How does one have the experience set up but don't have the funding, especially in current scenario of COVID? Starting small business, is that the best option? When you start small business, you can't expect to make money straight up. You can if you have a product and it's out there, but if you've done your planning, you need to spend time doing your planning and setting these things up. If you have a side gig, whilst you're in a corporate world, that's a great way to start setting up your business. If you've got something in your mind, it's always good to have the income from your business, from your job, while you're setting up your side business. There are grants that you can get, and Will had the grants guy on a couple of weeks ago. I think that there's a presentation around. It might be worth having a look at that. I'll ask Will to send that to you.
Yeah, the Grants Guy presentation is on our website, and I'll send you the link to the page after this session, and then you can go back and have a look at that. There's a lot of support out there, but also just to be aware that there is a lot of free business advice out there as well. You can get through the New South Wales Business Connect program offers free face-to-face, one-on-one advice from experts. So if you need that one-on-one support, go to the Business Connect program, and I'll send a link after this session as well.
Great. Thanks,
and just a quick one, Jane. In the chat, Jean has asked, where is the strengths test? So is that so if you can just help with that.
So the strengths test is actually high5test.com. It's in the workbook that came through.
Okay.
And it's on the second page, right at the bottom.
Great. Okay, so that's the answer, Jean, and yeah, I'll leave you to it, Jane.
Great, thank you. Okay, so my next point is understanding what you do. It's such a simple question, but it can be a very simple answer. But being simple, and some people don't even know how to explain what they do. And you need to think about this from your customer's perspective. Your message needs to be clear, and it needs to be relatable. In the workbook, there is and you would have all received this yesterday from Will. There is, what do I do for my customer? So here, there is a space for you to sit down and write what you do. And actually, if you feel like it, write in the comments what it is that you do. I think that if you put it out there, just start writing things down. The best way to move forward is to start writing things down. It's like goals. If you write goals down, they're much more likely to happen. Think about what you do from your client's perspective. So you know what you do, but breaking it down for your clients is the best way to do it. I've got an example here where I was talking to a real estate agent, property manager. He was discussing how good his staff were and how he pays them well above the wage, and that they do actually deliver fabulous service. What he was missing was the emotive point. What was the landlord's problem? Yes, they want great service, but how does it protect the damage to the property? Or what does the long-term value of the property have to do with how much he pays his staff? What he's done is he's really sort of missed the point. He's talking about it from his angle. He's saying, I have great staff. I have I pay them really well and they give a really good service. But really what the landlord wants to hear is, you're going to keep my property safe, you're going to have clients, or you're going to have tenants in there that will look after my property and that actually won't turn over very often, so we don't have to go through that process and I don't have to pay you more money so that I have to get new tenants. That's from the perspective of the client. Talk about your results. Actually, flipping it a bit on your head, make sure that you're talking about, like I said, telling them how you can fix their problem. That's really the best way to look at it. Thinking about it from your customer's perspective, but how you can fix their problem. Talk about your results and what you've had, how you've achieved things before. You know, I've had a landlord with me for X amount of years. We've only ever had to have tenants replaced once or twice because our tenants are so good and we screen them so well. Use everyday language that they understand. So talk to me like I'm a 4-year-old if that's what you need to do. If you have a highly technical business, something that, and it depends who you're talking to. So for an example here would be, if you're in an animal health business and you're talking to vet nurses, then you can use technical information that they will understand. But if you're talking to the end user, if you're talking to the dog owner or the cat owner or the bird owner, then talk to them about their animal. Use emotive language, keeping them safe, keeping them healthy, keeping your fur babies under your roof. That's the sort of thing that you need to use. Tell your story. Telling your story about what it is that you do is fantastic. Having a business narrative is also a great way to sell. You're setting a scene. I've actually I found a really good narrative here that I'm going to read to you. It's from a tea store, and I'm just going to read it to you so that I get it correct. I own Monji Tea, which I started to inspire women to look after themselves and each other. We link the two main benefits of tea drinking, self-care and connecting. I'm Tanya, and I'm one of 3 girls who grew up on a farm in country Western Australia. The standard greeting in our family was, and still is, would you like a cuppa? Tea has always been the drink of connecting and comfort for me. If my tea bags can encourage tea drinkers to take a break in their day, even a short one, as much time as it takes to brew their tea, then I know that they're looking after themselves, and that's the first part of my vision coming to life. The second part of my vision is about connection. I've heard firsthand in my workshop with women's shelters the power of women coming together over a cup of tea and a yarn. I honestly believe that most problems can be solved over a cup of tea. How powerful is that? If you're the target market and you're the person that you're speaking to, it's not just, I sell tea bags with lovely sayings on them. It's setting a scene, it's a vision, it's a narrative for your business, where you've come from. It brings through your why. The why here being that she's connecting people and it's self-care. The next thing that we're going to talk about is testing. What do you do? Now that you've come up with your narrative, you need to test. Understand what your message is doing. If you're face-to-face with clients, just talk to them and test it out. I'm thinking about doing this. What do you think? And listen to their words. Their words will trigger things for you. Ask quick questions. And if you're an online business, you can test things through social media, A/B testing, all that sort of thing. And you've probably seen that, but you can test out, see what gets a better response. If you've got followers, ask them. People love being asked. People love to know that their opinion matters. And it actually gives a little bit more authenticity to what it is that you do and who you are. And again, use their like in their language. Don't use jargon. Make it exactly what it is that your customers talk about. So I've put a couple of examples down here. You can say, I make cakes. But what you're actually doing is you're helping your clients celebrate milestones. Really important. You know, you can go to Woolies and buy a $2 cake. That's a cake. But a cake from Woolies and a cake from a beautiful cake maker, amazing difference. And you're part of that celebration. Understand what it is from your customer's perspective. The tea store, as I just read about with Tanya, inspire women to look after themselves and to connect, not just have a cup of tea. I make tea. I make tea bags. Actually, I inspire women to connect and look after themselves. Sounds a little nicer. Personal trainers. I help people look after their health, their mind, their body, their soul, so that they feel good about themselves. Much better than come over here and do 50 push-ups. Yeah. Do you understand the difference? That's what we need to, that's the message that you need to get across. Okay, so what do you stand for? This is where it starts to be a little bit about your why. You know, understanding what you stand for can come through in your message and how you do business. So are you a big believer in supporting small businesses? I sure am. I love a small business. I think that small businesses are the backbone of Australia. And I think that there's so many of us with so much talent that we really, really need to get ourselves out there. We're doing a disservice for people by not putting ourselves out there. There is so many big businesses out there charging so much money, and we're a small business. We don't have a lot of the overheads, and we can do just as good a job. We just don't shout as loudly. See, I do stand for it. It's my passion. Do you support Australian owned and made? Oh yeah, I do. You know, really, really, it's such a great thing to understand what it is, what it means to you. What is it that means to your customers? Because like attracts like. And if that's what you can bet your bottom dollar that there's someone out there that feels exactly the same. Keeping it real. You've got to be honest with yourself. If you're not good at something, don't be putting it in what you do. Put that in your goals. Your goals are something that you're going to work towards, not to be put into where you into this, what do I do, until you've conquered it. So for example, teamwork. Teamwork is one of those things that a lot of people say, oh, I'm so good at teamwork. Stop, think, do I involve my staff? Do I involve my team in decision making? Not all decision making, obviously you have to make some decisions, but decisions that are going to affect what they do, involving them, that is part of teamwork. So remember, be honest and only put it into what it is that you stand for and what your values are if you're good at it. And if it does actually come under your values, be honest and really, this is just for you. You can be honest. You can be as brutally honest as you like. Put it in your goals and give yourself something to strive for. Being focused on how you solve your customer's problem. That's what I want you to take away from this. The learnings. Focused communication is how you solve your customer's problems using marketing messages that will be impactful. All the information we've just talked about with what do you do actually comes down to your marketing message and getting it through that way. Understanding that your values are one of those things that you think it's just what I do, but it's not. Just it might be what you do and you just do it as a natural behavior, but putting that out there and telling people my values are to always be authentic and ethical. They're the sort of things that you might just think, oh, of course I am. That's what I do. Tell people, or at least understand yourself how you do it, and you drive that through your business. People will see that come through. So that brings us to the end of what it is that you do. If you've got any questions, I'll just have a little look. Yes, there are a couple of questions here. No questions there. Okay, great. Moving right along. Know your customers. This is a big one. Okay, understanding who your customers are is the crux of what your marketing is going, what you really need to understand. So you'll hear them referred to in the marketing industry as ideal customer avatar, ICA, or customer persona, or buyer persona, or consumer, or varying forms of these. But understanding who your customer is one of the most important things to know in your marketing. And you'll have heard throughout all these council presentations, I'm pretty sure that everybody's touched on customers. Marie Kirkpatrick, she explained it really, really well. She talked about her own avatar, Sally, I think her name was, all that sort of thing. So what I would like to do before we get into that, and to make a point, and I'll tell you what the point is afterwards, I would like you guys to go into the chat box and answer these 3 questions, please. What's your favourite colour? Do you shop online? And when you research a business topic, which resource do you reach for? Now, just write A, B, C, or D, or E, or if you want to use words, no problem. But I'm just trying to make this quick and easy. And I'll tell you the point of that in a sec. So get typing.
Can you repeat the questions, please?
Yes, they're on the screen. What is your favourite colour? What do you shop online? Or do you shop online? When researching a business topic, which resource do you reach for? Online articles or blogs, books, podcasts, all of the above, none of the above, or a combination? Great. Let's have a look what people are saying. Is there anyone in the chat? Okay, I can only see Q&A, Will. Okay.
Can you see it now?
I can see Q&A, but I can't see chat.
You can't see chat. Okay, so we've got, so in terms of colours, you've got pink, peach, blue, orange, red,
okay,
yellow, so you've got a whole range.
Right.
Now, the second one was pretty much everybody says yes to shopping online. And when researching, yeah, online articles, yeah, pretty much all of the above. I'm just looking through. I'm just looking through here. Yes, I think the online articles was probably the most common.
Right.
But people use all of the above as well as quite a common selection.
Okay.
So maybe if Jane can't access the chat,
maybe go into the
if you
Q&A.
could just put it in the Q&A for the future. Great.
Yeah.
All right. I'll hand over.
Thanks, Will. So as you could hear, there was a range of colours. So everybody likes different things. There was peach and pink. No, that's nuances within pink. Blues, yellows, orange. Do you shop online? That's great. Pretty much everybody does. I think COVID has probably driven a lot of people online. And researching your topics was an interesting one with all of the above. That's good to know. So what we're learning from all of this is that everybody's different. So if you're if you have a particular person that you're trying to reach, think about the colors that that person would like when you're talking about your branding. So people are different. They like different things. Let's talk to them differently. But you need to ask questions to get those answers. I could assume that 50% here are female. Of that 50% section of females, there is probably going to be 20% that likes yellow, 20% that likes pink, and 10% that like blue. But that's an assumption. You know, ask people. Assumption in everything in life is not a good way to do things, but particularly in marketing, don't assume you know. So who are your customers? This is what we're here to know for this section. Start broad and narrow it down. So once upon a time, we only looked at demographics. So when I say demographics, I mean age, gender, education, perhaps income and location. That's what we did. That's what we called targeting, and that's how we did it. But as with everything, we're becoming more and more sophisticated with how we can access information and how we can get the right message to the right person. So when you're trying to understand your customer, think about them. What are their traits that they have that are outside of what your product is? You know, are they homebodies? Are they versus social butterflies? For example, if you're a cafe owner, if you're targeting homebodies, perhaps takeaway is the way to go for you, and advertise to those people the takeaway menu. Or if it's a social butterflies, eat in, or events that you cater for. Do they have kids? If so, what are their ages? If you're a cafe owner again, if they've got kids, you might want to have a children's menu. If you're retirees, midweek meals at night, come in, the ambiance is different. Empty nesters, a little bit more sophisticated in their menu, that sort of thing. Where do they work? If they're corporates or small business, or again, are they retired? If you're trying to drive people to come into your cafe during the week, you're going to talk to people who are probably a little bit more time poor with corporates, or perhaps you're going to go with your retirees who are around all the time, and it doesn't matter whether it's the weekend or whether it's during the week. Just understand some of the traits that they have. Also, what influences their decisions? Is it family? Is it friends? You know, is it brands? Is it beliefs? Is it facts? If you're a very technical product, people are going to look for facts. So having facts as part of your selling is going to be a great way to get people to look at your products. Fact, I'm looking for a washing machine. This washing machine is Australian made, ticks one of my boxes. It is an Australian owned company, ticks another box. It is 7 kilos versus 5 kilos, ticks another box. That's the sort of thing that we're talking about with your influencing. Motivating. What motivates them to buy? This one's a little bit more price and quality driven. Branding's a huge one on motivating them. So some people don't care if something has a brand, or some people do care that there's a brand, and it needs to be a really big brand. It says something about how they feel and what they do. Where do they hang out online? You know, is it social media? Is it that they use email, or do they shop online, and how often? Or, you know, so therefore, do you move your store online, or have both if you've got a storefront? What are their frustrations? Big part of marketing is understanding your customers' frustrations and telling them how you can fix that problem for them. So are they time poor? if both parents are working, they're going to be, and they've got dependent children, they're going to be, their time is not their own. They're going to be running from their full-time job to picking up the kids, to doing sports on the weekends. What happens if your people have elderly parents and children, and they're sandwiched in the middle, and so they're time poor because they're looking after their parents, but they're also looking after their teenage kids. Okay, not looking after, they're there for their teenage kids for whenever they need them. What if they're not great with, or they're scared of technology? How do you talk to those people? We can help you. This is easy. This is the way we do things. Step-by-step guides, etc., etc. People who are starting to feel the effects of aging, perhaps that's a frustration for people. And how do you fix that? Well, part of that can be from somebody who's helping you feel good about yourself. And also it could be as simple as teaching them the right makeup to put on. I think that we often overlook people's frustrations and we just tell them what we do rather than telling them how we can help them. Another one is their needs and their wants. So if they're time poor, that's their frustration. What is it that you can do? What is their need or their want that you can do to fix that? So support of some kind. Are you in the industry that will help them physically or emotionally? Or is it something that makes their life easier? Like you're a cleaner. I can help you take away the stress of having to worry about your house being cleaned. Let me do it for you. Meal deliveries. Awesome for people who are working full time and just don't love cooking. It's just another chore. But at the end of a long day at work, you've got to come home and you've got to make a meal. Make it easy for them. That's their pain point, is that they're time poor and they don't like doing it. Make it easy. In their message, their needs are, they need you. And put that through in your message, how you can help them. Okay, so something to avoid when you're talking about your customers and you're trying to understand who they are is being too broad and also being too narrow. Being too broad means that what I call is spray and pray. You go out and you've got this product and your mindset is everyone can use this product. And that's great. Everyone might be able to use this product. But if you're talking to everybody, you're actually not talking to anybody. And I know that sounds weird, but if you're making if your message is really diluted, this is my product, want to buy it? No, not really. Hey, mum, I can help you with X, Y, Z. This will help you to alleviate X pain point. Much easier, much better, much better for getting your message across. Again, avoid going too narrow. Okay, let's not choose 95-year-old men with blue hair who like unicorns that jump in muddy puddles. You're going to bring your customer base so narrow that it's going to be an unsustainable thing for your business. It's not really what you want to do. So just finding that happy medium. This is all testing and gut feel, and you know your business. You've been through understanding what it is that your customers want and how they think about things. Give that information to them. So I had a client the other day that we were talking about, and this is an example to get a bit of clarity over which customers to go with. And we were having this big discussion, deciding exactly what customer that she wanted to focus on. And we're in the education arena. The customers, there were two customers, the employee and the employer. And the options was the product will help the person who's going to go through the education program, but who does she target? Who does she aim her message at? And the person was really struggling with, my client was really struggling with, okay, but this is the person who pays, but this is the person who pays. The person who pays is not always the ideal customer. So as I've written here in the example, the person paying is the employer, and they want the employee to attend the training, whether they're willing or not. So, you know, there's one customer. Or the option is to look at the attendee and message towards the attendee, that person who wants to attend, who has the passion to upskill themselves. They will go to their employer and say, hey, I found this course. These are the benefits. I think this will be really great for me. Can you pay for it? And if the employer says no, and they still really, really, really want to do it, there's a way, they'll find a way to get that money. They'll save up. I've heard people in classes that I've taken say, I've been wanting to do this course for so many years, and I'm finally here because I've saved enough money. How powerful is that? Firstly, you have a person who is dying to do your course, and you've chosen the right person, you know, and people who really love what you do, they will talk and they will tell people how great it is. When they've got the passion, that's the person you want to go through. Now, it's not to say that you can't have two different personas, and you can have two different messages. You could actually target both. But when you're starting to set up a profile, just concentrate on one, because when you focus on something, you'll do it so much more thoroughly. So that brings me into building a profile. And to build a profile, you need to ask who it is that you're wanting to talk to, what it is that their goals are and their challenges are, and why they are going to choose you. So building a profile, there's so many questions to ask. And, you know, things are, you have a certain type. You start large and you work your way in through the funnel to find out who it is. And you start with your demographics and what their background is. So their background is all about what jobs they do, what's their family situation. The demographics is, as we talked about before, age, income, all that sort of thing. Then we narrow it down to what their goals and their challenges are, and choosing what it is. I'm going to take you through my customer in a second, and that will help explain this a little bit more. Always start wide and come in. So I started with my profile by saying, I want people to understand more about business. There's a lot of people out there who don't understand business. It's the reason I left my last two jobs, is because people had no planning skills. I got so frustrated. It was all directive and it was all reactive, and that just didn't suit me. So I got out without another role to go to, and then I thought I'll start my business doing this for myself. And if I feel like this, there's got to be other people out there. So my background is in marketing. My demographics, well, you can see my demographics. And so my customer, her demographics are not dissimilar to mine. So she's a female, she's 45 to 50 age range. She's married with teen kids. Hubby has a pretty good income, and she's thoughtful about her appearance, but not over the top, and quite possibly has long hair that sticks it and puts it in a ponytail. So she likes to look good, but she's also good to go. At a moment, whack your hair up. It just goes to thought process. My customer also runs solo or a micro business. So she's a solopreneur is the new word. And she runs a micro business. She's brilliant at what she does, and she's fueled by her passion for doing it. But she feels like she doesn't understand marketing, particularly the analytical side. And if I say to her Google Sheets or Excel, she kind of has a little bit of a conniption. I can see her kind of do that. You know, I'm building a profile. So think about this. She's a woman. She's had a career before. She's now doing something that she loves, but she's not so great at the business side of things. She's been in business for over a year, and its growth has been good, and it's possibly just started to peter out, and or slow down. Or she's stepping out of a corporate role into a side gig that she's had for a while, and she's so good at what she does. The side gig's been great as a side gig, but now we need to become more serious, and we need to get her a bit of structure around what it is that she does. She knows that there are more people out there that would love her product or her service. Guaranteed. She's done some research. She's asked around. She's talked to people. She's dabbled in marketing campaigns and kind of knows how to read the results, but she doesn't know what to do to change the campaigns to make them more effective. She's kind of hit that boost button on Facebook and gone, it's asking me all these questions. I don't know. I'll just wing it. We'll just take it. Just wing it and see what happens. If you put ROI, return on investment, and marketing in the same sentence, she feels a little bit, if not a lot, anxious. And she just looks at you and goes, what do you mean? I have no idea what that means. She's got the smarts, and she's got the drive to learn. And this is the part that I love about my customer. She loves to learn. She's in uncharted waters, but she's not scared of that. She knows that she's in uncharted waters, and she needs a little bit of help. She uses phrases like, and I use these phrases from interviews that I've done with my customer. I don't know where to start. I just don't know how to get it moving. I do social media because I think I have to. And I just throw up whatever social media image I can think of on the day. But I don't know what I'm getting out of it, and I'm just not sure if I'm using my time wisely. She just needs someone to talk through things and give her the tools to be able to do what it is she does. By the way, her name is Stephanie, and all her friends call her Steph. She loves a glass of wine with her mates and with her family on the weekend. So that's a profile. Building and understanding what your customer, how your customer is, getting an image in your head. You don't have to go as deeply as that. I worked on that for a long time because I was trying to really hone in on who it is that my skill set complements and people that I want to work with. That's truly important because we're in business for a long time, hopefully, and we want to enjoy what it is that we do. So I'm hoping that you have learnt today from this one. When you know your customers, you know you're talking to the right people, you know you're using the right language, which is the same as theirs. Repeat back to them what they say to you, how to address their problems, particularly if you've got a service business, or give happiness. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a problem that they have. Giving happiness is a wonderful thing, and that's often a product-based initiative. So if you're a jewelry maker, I think that there's a jewelry maker here. I think that Anne was the jewelry maker. You know, you give happiness. I love jewelry. Who doesn't love jewelry? I mean, you can't go wrong. And it gives happiness rather than fixing a problem. You'd rather, if you're looking at jewelry, you'd rather the problem not be, oh, my husband's been away all the time, so he just throws jewelry at me. No. Oh, look how wonderful. For my birthday, I got this precious piece, and it just brings me joy. That's the sort of thing you want to have. Understand what appeals to them. And that is really helpful in branding. You know how we talked about the colours? Got women that like yellow and blue and pink and the percentages. Once you know who your customer is, you'll know how to visually appeal to them, because that's part of your branding for your website, for the look in store, all that sort of thing. You know where to advertise, and so you don't waste money. Wasting money, I can't stand wasting money. Return on investment for marketing is one of my big bugbears. People don't understand it. It's something that should be measured all the time. If you're just throwing money at it and you don't know how much money you're getting in return, why would you throw money at it? How do you really should know where your money is. Money is not something to throw away. Money is something that we all want to keep. So ROI, I can get on my soapbox for that one forever. Okay, so let's just have a look and see if there's any questions for this topic. I shop a little online and I research. No, okay, no. All right, we don't have any questions. That's great. In the workbook, there's a whole bunch of spaces here for you to go through and just work it out. Just, you know what, the best thing to do with anything like this is word dumps. When I was coming up with the name of my business, all I did was I just wrote, and I wrote words and I wrote sentences and I wrote everything that came to my mind. I just started the flow of that. And that was actually after one of the council presentations of Perfect Your Pitch by Annie. And I will be forever thankful for Annie for that, because when I spent all that time working out, just writing things down, so much comes to you when you write things down. It's a really powerful tool. Okay, so I don't think we have any more questions. No, okay. Next one is knowing what your products are. What are your best sellers? Don't assume. Knowing what your knowing your product range is just as essential as knowing where your sales are coming from. So, as with everything, like I just said, do not assume. Don't assume that you know what your best sellers are. Why do you need to know this? It's your leading product. There's a reason your product, it's your best-selling product. It's because people like it. And that means it's got appeal, and therefore use it in your marketing. Do you have seasonal or special occasion purchasing? I could talk about forecasting and all sorts of things here for product purchasing. And knowing your product sales is super important in being able to understand stock control. You know, you don't want $75,000 worth of stock sitting out the back. You want to know that you've got enough, that you want to have that happy balance of having enough stock on hand to be able to service your customers. But you also don't want to have so much stock that it's sitting there costing you. And if something bottoms out in the market, or there's a change in trend, that you're not stuck with a whole bunch of product. It's good to do a review every 3 months, essentially, of your products, where you're at. And that takes you into some of the seasonal stuff. So in winter, my assumption would be in winter that red wine sells more than white wine. Massive assumption based on a sample of one, me. That's how I drink. I drink more red wine than I do in winter than I do in summer. And that's how you need to analyze all that data. The data's free. You've got it sitting there. Use it. And once you understand that data is how important and how powerful that data is, it will help you with your marketing decisions. What products attract customers to you? It's a very simple thought, but it's something that you just got to stop and think about. Just throw this out. We get very much into a just do this. If you start thinking just, it's not really something that you're doing fully. Okay, so why do you need to know this? Well, you kind of need to know this because people feel more comfortable knowing that other people have made purchases as well. So things like having bestseller on your website, or telling people that this is one of your best sellers, and they'll come in, they'll buy your product, they'll come and enjoy it. People like to know, there's a bit of herd mentality there, like to know that what they are doing, other people are doing. How do you use this information? So here's an example. I'm not going to do the example just yet. If you're online and you have, say, 40 products, put your popular one on the front page. Just because you love it doesn't mean everybody is. Put your popular one on the front page. It sounds simple, but not always actioned. Customers who have bought this particular product also liked this product. If you can put that on your website, that's really strong too. Again, it goes to that mentality of it's safe. Someone else has done it. I'm not the first one to do it. They like to feel safe. And if, again, online, you've got access to all the Google Analytics there. This will tell a great story about about your customers. So this person who liked this product, and purchased, and it can tell such a story that I'm not going into today, because you won't get me off my soapbox about Google Analytics and how powerful that data is. Excuse me. If you have a store, put well, there's two arguments here, two thought processes. You get a lot of foot traffic walking past your store. If you put out something that grabs people's attention, it brings them into your store. And that's what you want to do. You just want people to come in, have a little look around, see what you do. If, for example, you have a pet store, let's go with pet store. All those cute puppies. Putting cute puppies in the front window or cute kittens will bring people, even people who aren't dog owners or animal owners, they'll still bring them, but they'll know and they'll remember that they saw cute puppies in your store. So if they're a potential customer, they will remember what kind of animals you had and how cute they were. And you've got data too. You've got data of all your sales. So look at all your sales. Majority of people are dog owners. Put something out the front of your pet store that brings dog owners in. Or the alternative theory is that you put it at the back of the store. A bit like supermarkets with their milk. They put their milk at the back of the store. They call it a loss leader. They sell $2 milk, $2.10 for milk. But they know that people have got to walk to the back of the store, so they have to actually walk all the way through the store. Oh, I'll just get a chook. Oh, I'll just get something for dinner. I'll get snacks for the kids. So they might have just come in for milk, but they've also gone around and they've purchased other things. For services, the way to talk about it is we'll just sort of go with 3 offerings here. And on your website, what they might your customers might come to you first through paid or through free information, just because they like what they heard about you, or they saw an ad and they come across, have a little look at your website. And what then you do is you introduce them to the complexities of your offerings. So I've got an example here with your copywriting. If you had an offer of 3 and you start with social media captions, it's a low risk category. It's not a big payday, so there's not a lot of commitment. So people will give you a go. That's a good way to get people in. And once they've tested you out and they realise, hey, they worked really well, then you move them onto your website. This is just your intermediate version, which is your website copy. I like what you did with the captions. I liked working with you and I saw some results. So that's why they bought the website stuff. And then when the website copy is done, they know that they really do know now that you are starting to know their business, that you work well together. And you move up to doing their emails and their newsletters and their press releases. So you're taking your customer through a journey from start at the beginning, you're warming them up, small cost, moving onto the website, a little bit more involved, moving into emails and newsletters and press releases. I mean, newsletters can be monthly, they can be weekly. You know, there's a journey in there for your customer, and it's really important to understand that your products have growth potential with one customer. Okay. So the product placement and online store is something we've talked about. Ask for reviews. It's a really powerful way. Somebody else telling other people how they felt your product went. Don't be afraid to ask people for a review. If you haven't started this yet, start with your friends and your family that have experienced your product. Don't just put up crappy reviews, like as in don't just put up reviews that are made up. Make sure that they're authentic. Make sure it is somebody who's used your product and that they can talk about it. So reviews on Google, using Google My Business, are really strong. And Facebook have their own review section as well. And if you're not so much into that, testimonials for your website, testimonials for your newsletters, testimonials, it really speaks to other people. People like what other people say about you. They have a non-biased view. So when choosing what to promote, knowing what your customers like is going to appeal to more of the same customers. Tell your customers it is your bestseller. Put a little red star, bestseller. You know, it draws people's eye, and people love to know that other people have done it. And like I said, people like to be comfortable. They're comfortable when they know that other people have made the same decisions. Next, let's see, is there any questions? Okay.
Yeah, there's a few questions came in, particularly around ROI.
Okay.
So there's a couple. How do you know if your ROI is good, and where do you find the benchmarks? That was from Tanya. So I'll just read these out, and then if you can go through them one by one.
Okay.
I'm creating a business card and unsure if I need phone, Insta, web, email, etc. Starts to look cluttered. What are the key items? Return on investment, is there a formula? And also, hi, I'm a garden coach. I know who my customers are, but I can't find it hard to reach them. So maybe if you just go through those one by one, Jane.
Okay, all right. Okay, so let's start with the ROI. Your ROI is good if you think it's good. Now, you need to take into consideration all your costs, but you are the one that measures your ROI. I know that's really vague, but that's something that you work through. You can't just go, oh, 50% is a good ROI. If you're happy with it, go with that. Some people say that some people say that a $5 cost, and I will go through a bit of a return on investment in the next section. You can. It's one of those things that you need to discuss, and you need to be happy with that measurement yourself. Where do you find benchmarks? Benchmarks are all over the place. Google it. I would say Google because it depends on your industry. It depends on what you're prepared to spend, because it can come back to lifetime value of your customer. Again, it's something that you can spend a long time formulating. I hope that answers your question enough. I can't just say X% is a good ROI, unfortunately, because it will depend on so many different things. I'm creating a business card and unsure if I need phone, Insta, web, email, looks cluttered. What are the key items? Okay. The key items depend on your business. So do you want to talk to people? Then you need a phone number. If you're an online business and you're less inclined to talk to people, Insta, web and email is perfect. They can DM you through Insta. Make sure that your customers are on Insta and that they use email if that's what it is. Key items, again, comes back to your business, what it is. Some of these are, it's a discussion and working it out and working it through. I would sit down with a piece of paper and I would write who my customer is. I would work out how they contact me, and that is the best way to go to find out what it is that you should have on your business card. And by the way, a lot of people say business cards are dead. I don't actually agree with that. I think that business cards are not dead. I think that business cards are still, they're not used as much as they once were, but they're definitely not dead. So keep going with your business card. Return on investment, is there any formula? Yes, there is formulas out there, but I'm not going to get into it today. That's a whole different discussion. And in the next slides, you'll start to see a little bit of that.
Sorry, Jane, and with the formulas, you say you don't want to get into it, but I assume if someone Googles them, there'll be plenty of information out there about that.
Absolutely, there is, because return on investment is what you perceive as a return on your investment.
Right.
How you take all those costs into consideration. Is it all these costs? Is it this high level cost? It's a full-on discussion. So just, it could be a quick discussion, but it's a discussion that needs to address several points.
Okay, great, thanks.
Okay. All right. Oh, good. I'm glad that was helpful about the business cards. No, definitely not dead. Business cards are definitely not dead. Is it worthwhile building a social platform with a view that might be a future lead generator when you diversify your offering, even though at the moment your customers are not coming from, say, Instagram? Yes. Without going into too much social media discussion, it is worth building. There's arguments to and fro. Again, I'd like to understand a little bit more about your business. However, social media is, you need to think of social media as rented space. So building a platform and getting some followers is great, but if Facebook choose to shut you down, you've lost all of that. Make sure that when you are building your platform, you're bringing them across to your website and you're getting them to sign up for all your getting them to sign up for your email newsletters and things like that, because email is much the strongest way to go. Okay, now it's just gone again.
Sorry, that was my bad. I pressed the wrong button. Have a look in answered.
Did I address that?
Have a look in the answered box.
Oh, good. Okay, thank you. Even though at the moment your customers are not coming from, say, Instagram. I don't know how you build a platform if your customers aren't there. If your customers are already on, Joe, say Facebook, and you're wanting to go for a different customer base over on Instagram, it's worthwhile getting your name for your social media platform. So whatever your business name is, grab it while you can. Future lead generator when you diversify your offering. It's a bit of a discussion on that one again. Yes, the short answer is yes, get your name. I wouldn't spend too much time on it, building it, unless your customers are there, because there's a lot more to be done with your existing customers. If you have a plan to do it in the long run, then absolutely spend some time. But don't spend too much time, because you're not going to get any return on that to start with. Perhaps if your customers are on Facebook, click the link and just post it in Instagram, because you're not worrying about the views yet. Okay, now I think there was a garden coach here. I'm Danny and I'm a garden coach. I know who my customers are, but finding them hard to reach. Okay, so Danny, what you need to do is find out where they hang out online. Do they use Facebook? I would look at the demographics, start there, and compare the demographics, your demographics, to the demographics on Facebook. It's always good to go searching online to find some information about your customers and where to find them. Because what you'll find is that people have Facebook groups are a great way to understand, get some research on your customers. You can just join a group and have a little look and see what questions people are asking. And if they're asking the questions that you address as a garden coach, then those customers are definitely on Facebook, and that's where you start looking. If you've tried that, maybe you and I can have a little bit of a chat about it afterwards. But without too much more information, knowing what you've already done, etc., I can't really answer more thoroughly than that. Oh, great, Joe, thanks. Oh, that's good. I'm really glad that helps. Okay. All right. I think that's all the questions answered. Number 5, know your profitability. This is really, really important, because without money, you don't have business. And one of the pitfalls that I find is that people find revenue a really sexy number. And it is, because it's big, but it does not tell you the health of your business. It's how many sales you're getting in. And I know that we looked previously at your most popular product. However, you need to take your popular product and you need to take your profitability as a full scenario. So understanding the profitability of all your products and services. Now, this is a little bit easier to do when you have a product, because you have cost of goods. And today I'm just going to talk about gross profit. I'm not going to talk about net profit. I'm not going to talk about all your costs and your expenses, except for one. I'm going to talk about, well, and I'm going to just touch on this, your wage. Your wage must come out. You must be paying yourself if you have a business. If you're not paying yourself, you don't have a business, you have a hobby. And in the beginning, you need to get momentum and understand that. But if you've been in for a couple of years and you're not getting a wage, then you need to think how you can make that happen. Because if you're not making money, it's costing you money. You could have a job. You could, if money is what it is that if you're doing charity work and all that sort of thing, and that you're happy with that, that's great. But a business that doesn't pay you is a hobby. I'm sorry. Very direct, I know. But it's really an important thing to hone in on, because a lot of small businesses think, I won't take a wage. It's okay. No, it's not okay. It's not a business. Okay, sorry guys, burst bubbles, but it's really important to take a wage. Okay, I'm going to get off that soapbox and I'm going to go back over here to my profitability. It's really important to understand the popularity and the profitability of your product. So, as I said, we're going to talk about gross profit, which is revenue minus your cost of goods. Very high level, but from a marketing angle, this is what you need to look at. I'm not an accountant, and you do need to understand the whole picture of your business. Don't focus on revenue. Focus on profit. Without profit, you've got no business. Okay, I'm off that. Okay, so for an example is the best way to take you through for this one. Product ABC is your most popular product, and you sell 50 per year. So from that, in that 50, I've gone with simplistic numbers for the simplistic maths. You get $500 profit. So your product is $50. Sorry. So, oh dear, that maths doesn't work, does it? Okay. Profitability is $500. Okay, so your income, sorry, yes it does. Profit, 500. Your income is $30, so that's what your product cost is, as in that's what you sell it for. Your COGS, or your cost of goods, is $20. That leaves you a gross profit of $10. Because you sell 50 of them each year, you make $500. Okay, now let's move across, leave the most popular product and go across to our fourth most popular product. Product XYZ. We only sell 30 of these a year, which is 40% less than your bestseller. But you make $600, which is 20% more profit. So by just looking at how good your sales are, which is what your revenue tells you, you may actually be doing better than you think with other products. So profit is 600, your income is 30, but your cost of goods is only 10, and your gross profit is $20. Who would rather have 20% more profit than in your bank, in your bottom line? I would. It's just something that you need to consider when you're going to put together your marketing campaigns. So really, at the end of the day, with profitability, it's important to understand each product in your range and understand the profitability of each of those. So don't be blinded by the fact that your products, your best-selling products, are the way to go every time. What is the aim of your campaign? This is where profitability and marketing come together. If your aim of your campaign is to get new customers, then what you want to do is go back to product ABC, because that's your most popular and you want to bring in more customers, but you're not going to get as much money. Or is it purchases? Okay, I just want, new customers. I just want more money coming in. Okay, so then you sell product XYZ. That was a little unclear. Okay, so if you're looking for new customers, the way is to go with something that is more appealing. If you're after more money, then you're going to go with product XYZ. That's the information, and that's how you set up campaigns, is understanding what your goals are. Yeah.
Sorry, Jane, just can I ask, so could you just explain why somebody might want more customers versus why somebody might want more money?
Yes, I will.
Just because I mean,
definitely.
When you're having a business, I would imagine that you're looking to make the maximum profit, so you would go for the more money. So could you just explain those two, just so I'm clear on that?
Absolutely, absolutely. So when you get more customers, the best way to look at it is the aim of the campaign is to get new customers. You're going to get less income initially. So and I wasn't sure whether to get into this today, lifetime value of a customer is something that is seriously underrated in marketing, and it's something that you need to look at. It helps you to understand, again, your ROI. So your new customer will spend over time. Okay, so the more customers you have on a database, or the more customers that come to you and spend more money with you, the more you can cross-sell to those customers, and the more you can understand your customers. Whereas if you're just purely going for profit and you don't care so much about the customer might be a one-off product, a one-off purchaser. So yes, you get more money up front, but in the long term, if you've got customers that are more loyal to you, it is going to be much easier to maintain your business and keep it sustainable. So to work out, and I wasn't going to go here, but I can, the lifetime value of a customer, and that's where you're looking for your new customers. You look at, and I did write it down here just in case I got asked. You go back to here, and you look at the lifetime of the customer, and your customer A that you get in, because you're getting in new customers, you work out your frequency of purchase. Do they buy every 2 months? So yes, 6 times a year. So you get that gross profit 6 times a year from that one customer. And then, so that customer then becomes, instead of a $10 customer, they become a $60 customer. And once they become a $60 customer, pretty much they've been purchasing with you for 12 months. And then then you look at it 5 years time, and that person, rather than going from a $10 one-off purchase, goes to a $60 for 12 months. And if you measure that for 5 years, that's $300. So you need to understand your frequency of purchase, and then you need to work it out based for your lifetime of your product. So for example, if you have, let's go back to the pets. If you have a dog that needs to have flea treatments, I'm not quite sure how often you give dogs flea treatments, but I know it's more than once a year. So let's go, for example, let's stay with the every 2 months. And you know that dog's life is 14 years, 15 years. If you amortize that over the 14 years and your spend from your campaign has been $7 to get that person, your return on your investment is fantastic. I mean, who doesn't want to spend $7 to get $60 in return? That's one person. So to get more customers on your database, initially for less money, in the long term will actually grow your business. Whereas if you go for the quick sale, which is product number 4, because I just want to get cash in now, they're not guaranteed, because it's not your most popular product. It's understanding what the goal is of your campaign. So ask yourself, do I want new customers? And then think, for the long term, this is a much better investment for me. Yes, initially I lose $10 per product. But on the flip side of that, if those people hang around because they like your product and they spend, what did I say, 5 years, $300 with you rather than $20, it's not much. It's a bit of a no-brainer, really. You need to think about, and these are the reasons you need to understand your profitability and lifetime value of a customer, and putting all this together with your campaign goals. Hopefully that's clear. Will, is that clear enough? Did I answer your question?
Yeah, basically it's about looking short term versus long term, isn't it? It's
Absolutely.
Getting a short term higher profit or a long term income from a repeat customer. Yes,
and you need to decide whether what your goal is from a marketing perspective.
Yeah, well, it's all in the planning, isn't it? And I guess so with your marketing planning, you have to really be looking at it in the long term, just like you should be with all your other business planning.
Yeah,
great.
Definitely get your foundations right.
Fabulous, thank you.
That's right. So, oops. Really as we were just saying, you're looking at all the information to make your decision. So you understand how your products sell, but you also now understand the profitability of those products. So understand the profitability of your products to make decisions easier, which is the best product to reach your campaign goals. Scaling, this is something I didn't talk to you about. Scaling. If you want to scale your business and your product is already unprofitable and you just assume, all you're going to do is scale an unprofitable product, which ultimately means dead, or it's going to pull from somewhere else. And you don't want to do that. You really want to understand that when you are scaling your products, that you are profitable in those products and at a profit that you're happy with, a profit level that you're happy with. And profit is what actually goes into your pocket. It's what you can spend. If you don't have it, you can't spend it. No fictitious number on a piece of paper. It's really important to understand that profit is money, not a story on a piece of paper. Okay. All right, so that brings me to the end of the profitability. Is there any questions on that? Okay. Oh, Danny,
I think just to reiterate a point which really came home to me on that one about profit versus revenue, and the fact that if you're not really making a profit, then it's really a hobby, and you need to and as you quite bluntly said, it's bursting the bubble. But I think it's it's really important to consider that.
Yeah, I'm pretty direct, and that's what my friends tell me. But it's an important differentiation.
Yep. Absolutely. Thanks for that.
It's okay. Danny, okay. Danny, if you've got a little bit of time after this, maybe you and I can have a little bit of a quick chat, and I'll get back to you on your website and Facebook question. Okay, so in review of today, why you do what you do, back to the beginning. Because it helps you guide your business using your values so that you're happy and that you are fulfilled with what you do. Because when you're fulfilled, it comes through in how your customers see you, and all in your messaging and how you behave, and the passion that will come through. People will feel it, people will know it, people will see it in your communication. It helps you set the foundations for your customers, and so then and staff and people that you collaborate with, it's really important that you're all on the same page. If you're on opposite ends of the scale, there's no point doing business together, but whether it be staff or whether it be a business collaboration. And it helps you to be more confident and deliberate in your decision making. And when you're more confident and deliberate in your decision making, you're more efficient. You just know that's the way to go. Instead of going around like this, you just know that's the way you're headed. Understanding your business, what your business does. Thinking from a customer's perspective, of course, helps you to be clear and relevant with your marketing message. And it talks to them. It's not you telling them that you have a product, it's telling them what you can do for them, who your customers are. It ensures that you talk to the right people and you spend your money in the right area. Don't go spending Facebook ads if your customers are on LinkedIn. Really important. What your most popular products are, we've just sort of covered that, and decide which is the best way to reach your campaign goals. In conjunction with number 5, which is the profitability of your product. Making informed decisions for your marketing, choosing the product and the campaign goals, and scaling with the right foundations. Super duper important. Don't look at the revenue, look at the profit. Scale the profitable product. Scale your profitable service. And I didn't mention this actually, I was talking so much about product, but if you have a service-based business with profitability, and your time is basically the cost of goods. That's what you would replace it with. Anything that costs you, obviously, photography, if you're doing campaigns for other people, or those sort of costs. But your time needs to truly be considered. That's your commodity. So I've got a bit of homework for you, and that's in the sheet here. Review the ones that you already do. This is a chance for you guys to check the health of your business. If you've been in business for a while, stop, reset. Being able to stop and have a look at how you do things. I've heard of people who have created great businesses and they hate it. It's a great business, but they hate doing it. Who wants to spend their life doing that? How do you turn that around? Now's the time to review it and really look at what it is that you do. I mean, you chose to be a painter rather than an interior designer. There's a reason for that. You chose to be a personal trainer rather than a marketer. There's a reason you chose to be that way. Think about it and be true to yourself and be completely honest. So go in with an open mind. Don't think, I already do this. Just go in and go through the steps and think, what can I learn from this? Or is there something that could make me a bit more efficient in thinking and doing these steps? And give yourself a bit of a business health check. And pick one point at a time. If you take anything away from this whole presentation, focus on one thing at a time. Don't try to do 50,000 things at once, because nothing will get done properly. Pick one, focus on it, and drill down. And do that through all the activities in the book until you're happy.
Fabulous. Thank you so much, Jane. And yeah, so please do use that resource that I've distributed. After this, I'll send the recording round of this session so you can go over it again in your own time. I'll also send Jane's contact details so that you can connect with her. Are you on LinkedIn, Jane?
I am on LinkedIn.
Right.
I don't use it very often, but I can send it to you.
Fair enough. I'll share. Yeah, I'll share you. I'll share Jane's contacts. I'll share the video with you. I just want to make you all aware, our session next week is about financial forecasting. Takes us back to the profit versus revenue point that Jane was saying was so important. So so next week we've got a financial planner who's going to be going through some simple financial forecasting modeling with you. It's perhaps not the most exciting topic for many, but it's really, really, really important. It is to Jane. Yes, she's a numbers person. So so please do join us next week. I'll send you the link if you haven't registered yet. Same time, same place. So thank you so much, Jane. Thank you everyone for coming, and yeah, we will see you all very soon. Thanks a lot.
Can I just quickly say, Danny, send me an email, and then we can get in contact. We can have a bit of a chat if you like. Great.
So metricsmarketingaustralia@gmail.com. Danny is it's metrics with a METRIX. Yeah, so you can see that. Fabulous. Thank you, Jane. Thank you, everybody, and we'll see you all very soon.
Thanks,
Cheers.
Everyone.
Bye.